All right. Okay.
It is 5 minutes after the hour of 1 o'clock on 88.3 FM. And this is First Question. First Question is when we have a little conversation, I like to call it, not interviews, conversations. These days, usually it's with, different events that happen in the community, volunteers and so on. But these days, it's going to be all politics, all the time, all day, every day. But it's good for you folks because we want you to make informed decisions come January 11th for the parliamentary election, so you don't go in there and say you don't know anything about this candidate or this party. We have all of them coming in the next couple of weeks, so you'll have a lot of information, so you can make up your mind when you go into that voting booth without a curtain, and you make that vote, and you put that vote down for your favorite candidate. I am happy to be joined today by someone I've known, feels like all my life, someone who has worked with on different projects for over the years, someone who supported all of my community projects down the road. And I just want to say welcome to the deputy leader of the Now Party, the number 2 candidate on the same slate. MP, I still call you MP because you
Still an MP.
Still an MP. Claudius Buncamper, good afternoon to you, MP. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Mike. Good afternoon to you and the radio listeners, and actually everyone who is following my live feed. I'm doing well. How you say? I'm rolling with the punches. Let me put it that way. Let me put it simple.
You just gotta take it, walk forward. Walk forward.
What I will not do is bend my head down or bend the knee because there's an agenda to to deal with me.
Right. Now, first question is the first question, and the first question I got for you is, since the verdict, like I said, I know what we're talking about. Since the verdict, let me rephrase. How are you reassuring the folks, your voters, your constituents, your supporters, that you are still in this thing, kicking 100%, even though they lost maybe a little faith after the verdict? How are you engaging with them?
2 things. Our legal system gives me the right to appeal the verdict and go to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Not my first rodeo. I did that in my first case, and after 3.5 years, I was fully acquitted, not partially, fully acquitted.
Right.
And now again, I had to appeal, not because the case wasn't prepared properly by my lawyers. No, the case was prepared well by my lawyers. The verdict didn't reflect the case.
Right.
The verdict reflected an intern writing something that wasn't in the courthouse. And we have a law firm in the Netherlands. I just had, today coincidentally, we spoke briefly, and they're going to prepare the advice naturally for cassation. Right. So what does that mean actually? It means that at this point in time, because in my verdict, there were a few little things that were not accurately reported.
Okay.
One of them was that I wasn't able to hold public office. That's a blatant lie. That was not true. That's not an inaccuracy because it doesn't appear in the verdict. It wasn't 3 years. It's 7 years. I was banned as a civil servant.
Right.
So as long as the cassation process is ongoing, the verdict is basically packed up. You can't do much with it.
Right.
Now, in our Constitution, it says that if you are convicted for, and the crime in question here would be bribery, you may not hold office. And that is why I was suspended in the first term.
Yes.
And beginning of 2022, I got suspended until the end of this term.
Sure, right. Keep in mind we're talking about the
Correct.
same case.
We're talking about the same case at this point in time. Now, it goes a step further because in our law, we don't know double jeopardy either. You cannot punish me twice for the same thing. Not because our law, our judicial system delays cases that you can punish me then again. I was already punished. I was suspended and I sat out nearly 2 years based on the culmination of this case. The case is still not finished, so you cannot reenact another suspension on me legally in a new term that I am not elected for yet.
Right.
So saying this and saying that I am electable because the Central Voting Bureau did not take my name off the list of the no. I am eligible because I was not taken away my active or passive voting right, which means it is. No, I am on the ballot. I'm number 2.
Right.
When you go there, you will see the UP has a member number 22. That the name is there, or it will be blank. The name is now blank. They blanked it, but my name is there, number 2, Claudius Buncamper. So when you go into the voting booth, you look to the left. You look to the left of the paper. That's the yellow list, number 1. You go down to number 2. You drop the dot there, and that dot will be well used because I plan.
And keep that dot inside.
Oh yeah, keep it inside. Don't write you love me because that ain't gonna help me. Don't check mark it. That ain't gonna help me. Just vote according to regulation.
Right.
It is important that people understand that I can take my seat and I cannot be suspended. Even though some people are out there selling this message that I cannot be elected, I will not even be on the ballot, or I can't take my seat, I'll be suspended. Please, do yourself a big favor and update yourself with the laws of the country. Because when you don't do that, you are selling just a narrative, not a situation. Opinions, I respect them, but I don't necessarily agree with them. And some of these are now happening. Look, I understand that Buncamper puts the fear of God in a lot of people because I don't back down. A lot of people tell me I'm going to run hide in the closet now because of a verdict. Absolutely not. I walk with my face high up. I will be on radio programs to sell the manifesto of the now. Yeah. I want to thank the Herald for a great manifesto article that they wrote today. Unfortunately, the word paying should have said paving. Yeah. It's paving the road. We ain't paying to build no roads. Duran could do that. We are paving the road to wealth for the people of this nation through creating opportunities using bold stands and out-of-the-box thinking. We are asking the community, come together and let us take what's ours and give it to our children, grandchildren, so that they can create wealth. Most of us, older ones, will not be able to create that generational wealth anymore because once we give our children a chance to operate their businesses, do their thing, it becomes generational wealth. And that's what we are really pushing for.
In the meantime, the Herald is correcting that mistake by putting the correct version online. It should be up now if you want to go and check it out. Go check it. Just the headline, instead of paving, it says paying. That was an oversight. Anyway, moving on. Do you expect there to be some kind of a legal debate or different opinion when you get elected? I'm not going to use the word if, I try to put the positive things in the universe. When you get elected, about to take up your seat, do you expect there to be an argument in Parliament about it?
I don't think in Parliament. I don't think in Parliament there will be an argument. The law is the law. The law is very clear. Yeah. I mean, the Constitution, let me start with that. That's a flawed something. We're the onlyest fools in the kingdom that are doing this. Yes. In every other country in the kingdom, this doesn't exist. But here again, we had the wise men and women that made this Constitution and were trying to solve a problem from Curacao, which was Anthony Codet's situation, and they created this, not realizing, like how the young people said, the hot mess they created.
Yeah, we still got a lot of
because we have a lot of problems in our Constitution and in our Charter, both that needs to be fixed, but they don't touch them with a 10-foot pole because they're afraid to. They're afraid that when they do something, they're going to come at you. You know, and I keep saying that. Though, you know, I can be very critical, but I'll be honest on this topic with Rolando Bryson. Yeah. Rolando stood side by side with me from the minute I got into Parliament because I met him there. Yeah. And we fought the draft criminal procedure code. And when I left, Rolando continued fighting it, and I was privy to read what was happening and how it was happening. Right. I'll tell you one thing. They kicked down his door because he was getting too close to telling them it ain't gonna happen. All right? That's why they went at him. Now, a lot of people say, well, Buncamper, we're helping him out for. It's not helping. It is showing this country what's happening in this country. We need to grow up. You think they lock up Buncamper? They ain't coming for you? You next. The minute you open your mouth and they're coming for you. Make no mistakes. I beat them. I embarrassed them in my first case. They came at me with fury, with blazing fury. But again, I got a broad back. I gonna fight them to the end. I'll boldly state this. Or you go in jail.
What about your fellow candidates? Are they after working everything?
I think they're okay. The party is okay. The party is standing with me.
Right.
Remember, if you don't even respect your judicial system, where the law allows you to do certain things, because look, if the law was different, like in civil cases, they have this thing they say by vorat, which means you go in jail.
Right.
Now, there was a case where, for example, a gentleman or two gentlemen were convicted for manslaughter and they were not here, so now they got caught. While they appealed the cassation, they put them in prison because they fled the island.
Flight risk.
They became a flight risk.
Yeah.
By me, are you right here walking? I ain't going to a place. They ain't come by my house, tell me they're looking for me to go jail or anything. No. Again, the judicial system has its ways of working. You mightn't agree with them, and it says sometimes I don't like it, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. The judicial system says you cannot be punished twice for the same thing. So no, there will be no discussion in Parliament. Sure, some people will make a little noise, but again, they more fear me sitting across them in Parliament, governing this country and cutting out all the stupidities of family fuss and friends and not the country. That's what they fear. You see, so I don't fear it. I really don't fear it.
You literally or indirectly remained an MP in Parliament through your broadcast every week now for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You were determined to, have your voice be heard.
Yes.
To be that opposing voice, either opposing or supporting,
depending on what it is.
How does that? I mean, you probably just started when you first started was to try it, but it blossomed into something almost like a weekly parliament meeting in itself, featuring you alone.
Well, a lot of people look out for the podcast on Monday, Right. But it used to be like an hour and a half.
Was it important to you to do?
Yes, because there was so much unsaid.
Right.
So many things that reach Parliament and are never talked about, or things in government that are not clarified. Now, people, they listen to their representatives, they read a newspaper, but very few people say, let me go on the internet and check this again. Yeah. So especially with the Netherlands, I used to do a lot of research of what's happening in the Netherlands, what's being said by the government in the Netherlands, how are we reacting to it, and how do we prepare for it.
Right.
Now, this is what the IPCO meetings was so valuable for, because you could prepare and you can fight it. Talking about we being colonized, listen, they ain't gonna change it. What we need to do is make use of the funding they make available without conditions. Yeah. There's 200 million euro right now that we can use if we really want to do solar. I can remember the Prime Minister waving a flag, how she signed an agreement for the Sustainable Development Goals and what all they're going to do with Yeton from D66. She ain't touched a dollar yet. GB is in serious jeopardy financially because 75 to 80% of the country ain't paying the bills. But take some of those millions and start putting a solar farm in place so that GB is not dependent on fossil fuel. So they don't have to pay Sol 7-8 million a month, but maybe 4 million a month. And that other $4 million you can then put, because the money is for free. You don't have to pay it back in interest as long as the program is sustainable. But what do? We go take loans to go fix roads and build roads. You ain't getting back no money. The only way you get money from roads is by road tax. So for you to get more money means you got to put more cars on the road and all those things. Congestion only gets worse. So I always say, if you're going to take a loan for the country, make sure that the loan has a return on investment. GB is a company that has a return on investment. So does the airport, so does the harbour. All of them have return on investments. We make them pay us concession fees. But that's a different story with the concession fees staying there. But in our manifesto, we say concession fees that are tied to a loan, once that loan has reached its maturity, that money coming back to government. And not that you can take another loan now and use, again, the departure fees or the head tax fees or whatever fees to continue mustering the loan. That is wrong. We gave you the opportunity to do the thing. Now you got to make sure in your business plan that you create enough revenue that you can take a new loan on your own without having to hold on to the departure tax or the head tax that belongs to government to pay your loans.
And that's what and that's, some of your broadcasts, and that is why I like the fact you did it, because it was such a disservice, I believe, to the people when Parliament took its broadcast off of Facebook and dropped it on YouTube.
Yeah, that was because they were getting.
People don't have data on their phone, they don't have the time.
But not only that, the Facebook, you could interact. And when the blow started to fall, the Presidium suddenly said, oh, the system can't handle it. Nonsense. We all know that was not true. They could have just left it on. And yeah, listen, I am sure there are ways you can block comments and all those things. But for one reason or the other, they decided they ain't doing that no more. So, listen, Parliament can pay to have a business Facebook page. And you have all the don't tell me that TLM can run a dedicated line to Parliament to do these type of things, because you're talking about informing the people. The law says that the meetings must be public, yet you, with 20 seats in there, doesn't allow the public to come. So Facebook or radio station, those are the mediums actually to get it out. And if you start blocking even the social media like Facebook that's free, then you're not really interested in getting the message out to the people, but more making sure that you comply with the law and do what you gotta do.
The No parties is one of the new kids on the block. Coming up in January, we know the country faces a hell of a uphill battle financially. Anybody who takes over and kills Keith Kennedy is going to take over literally a broke country.
Yes.
How are you addressing financing in not only your manifesto, but
in general?
In general, to creatively elevate this country out to the rut that it's in. Because finances to me is going to be the number one.
I agree. Let me give you a little synopsis,
Yes.
and I tell everybody, please read the Herald, page 10. She light out there. Like how they say, it lit there. But basically two things.
Yeah.
I think tax reform is the most important thing. And I don't know why this minister is dilly-dallying with it. Yeah. He doing all kind of send this, do the damn tax reform. Why? Because you will get income.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things. A few simple things. Yeah. Transaction tax. You don't do nothing for it because the banks do it. Pass the law. 0.5% and 11 billion gives you at least 50 to 60 million through the central bank without the swipe of a pen. You do nothing for it. Then you have the room tax. We are at 5%. Now we're saying go to 10%, 8% for government, 2% for the environmental protection. We are saying do that. We are saying create jobs in such a way that it turns revenue, which means we are vying for a ministry in agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry. We talk about food sustainability, but we are not guaranteeing food sustainability. Sure, we have a few agriculturists on this island. We have some of them. You have Denisio, you have Ras, you have Shola, you have Jocelyn. I know of those four that do things. But what I'm saying is we have the know-how here. We need to diversify a few things. We got Sabre Bank out here. Why are we not fishing on it as St. Martin and ensuring that snapper don't need to cost $18, but maybe 14 or 13 or 12? Why? Because the government has to give the fishing boats. Buy the fleets. Little Anguilla, bought 2 fishing vessels, send the people to England to be taught how to operate the vessels and come. What is wrong with us? We need to bring down GB's bill. Put out the solar panels, because whatever the people save there is in their hand to use for something else. We are talking about generational wealth.
Right.
We want people that have land to join up with people that have money and build homes.
Right.
And the government guarantees the rental of them via the St. Martin Housing Foundation. Everybody is making money. We need to think this way, but we are not. This government is stuck on, I'm going to put more turnover tax. We told them, please join with the French side. Get 8% on import duties, because both sides of the island will have that. This will tackle the Ecorus report where prices were being manipulated in the stores because nobody had any kind of control of what really costs.
Yeah.
But once you come through that port of ours, be it at Juliana there or even on the French side, the bill of lading will show the cost. You put a cost high, you're paying high import duties. You put the real cost, you're paying much less. But that means the cost of the groceries in the store are less because government needs to set in this industry a profit margin. And it might sound hard, but it is reality. Kendall Dupersoy today, a fellow that I have a lot of discussions with, I love his directness. Kendall said, in Denmark, they pay $20 per hour for the employee in McDonald's. The Big Mac costs 76 cents less there than here. But here, we pay minimum wage. We pay $5.
$5, yeah.
When you go and talk to the business community, the first thing they tell you, oh, things are so hard. It is because the profit margin is put so high that it becomes difficult to go below that. They want to create generational wealth within the company, not among its employees. Nobody nearly in the work field has pension. Why is that? Why can't maybe the pension fund of St. Martin, the APS, make it so that everybody in St. Martin can join the pension fund?
The business community will tell you but they're not getting any kind of relief either. Government would raise the minimum wage. And then nothing's happening to the
Mike.
No incentives for the business side. Nothing's
Mike,
happening for them.
look, incentives are there.
Yeah.
The problem is this: we don't need a 34.5% profit tax. That is utter nonsense.
Yes.
Bring that nonsense down to 12.5% because nobody paying anyway. But the banks and a few other people that put out their reports showing they made profit. Nobody else making profit in this country. Yet 11 billion going through this country, but we ain't making profit. When you check the GDP of this country, it's $36,000 per person. Then you have to ask, okay, so what's the number for the income per person? Because GDP basically says we're going through your country divided by the amount of people in your country. $36,000 per person. When you look at SZV, where 24,000 people are registered that are working in this country, you realize that 75% earns less than $2,000 a month, which means that would be at a max $24,000 a month. But I just said 36. A third of the money is unaccounted. If I look at a minimum wage, 54% is. So they make about $1,000. So 2/3 of that money is unaccounted for in the income. So it must be that the 25% above the 2,000 is raking in all that money. Other businesses are. You see, and this is where you have to start getting real. This is where you have to say, enough is enough. This is what the Now did. And that's why I liked how they said it. Advocacy, courage, and togetherness. Because the community has to rally with us as party and be bold enough, have courage to stand up and say, that is ours. We have a right to be wealthy too. And that brings me into the cannabis story. Because cannabis is generational wealth. That is $1 trillion economy.
Hold your thought on the cannabis for a minute. You mentioned with solar, right?
Yes.
There's this misconception that I want you to clear because you know this issue very well.
Okay.
Folks want to get solar, like for their home, but are being told or have the fear or misconception that they cannot because there's some kind of legislation or law from GB that states you're only supposed to get power or percentage of power or 80% of the power, something like that, from GEBE. So it's not clear as to how much panels they can get, how much power they should generate, whatever.
Indeed.
What is the correct information?
In the agreement that you sign with GB as a client, because this is in the general conditions
that people don't read.
Yes, exactly, because the fine print is not even me could read it with glasses. It states that you cannot generate power for yourself to sell and or use unless GB cannot supply you. So if GB is out, your generator can go on.
Right.
GB can't tell you nothing.
Right.
But you can't run your generator 24/7 at home or at a business because it is cheaper to do that than run GB.
Right.
Now, here comes the solar panel story. And in our manifesto, we say GB should be the front runner in this story. They shouldn't be put on the side like how some people like to, give the business to somebody else. No. GB, you're responsible for the placement and the maintenance of the solar panels and the batteries, even at the people's homes. Now, what happens is this. $35 million sits by NRPB for entrepreneurship. Make the people and the businesses entrepreneurs when it comes to solar power. Put it on their roofs. What you can do two things. I don't believe in net metering at this point in time because it can be dangerous. But you can say, listen, you will put the solar panels on your roof and you will put the current back onto line by GB, which means GB has a high production in electricity that they can distribute wherever.
Right.
Be it to the hotels, be it to the people that have a lower standard of living with monies and so that the power cost goes down across the board because the power cost is basically determined by the fuel clause.
Right.
And if you could bring down that fuel clause with 30-40%, you're making a serious impact to the community of St. Martin. So you could have done that. You can also say, listen, we could do it different. People go and invest, and that means you're going to now have to make a change to the general conditions of GB, but it means you're now excluding GB, that somebody could come, put all the solar panels on their roof, put a battery in their house, and eventually they don't need GB.
Right.
I am saying don't do that because GB is a utility company you will always need. I don't believe that for the next 20 years we can become fully non-reliant on fossil fuel. I don't see that yet. GB should start going over to their LNG temporarily for a 5-year period that you go from fossil to LNG and in the same time start the greenery alternative energy, which means you're going in with solar panels, you can go in with windmills, and you can do waste to energy, get rid of the landfill, burn the garbage.
But there's a lot of people, a lot of homes now with solar. Are these people breaking the law, so to speak?
I don't know.
Because if you play, like, for example, if I want solar in my house just to run my air conditioning or whatever, the heavy pullers, there's ways to configure that.
Yes, naturally. I mean, if you go Maho, you see a whole solar farm there. So what's permission grant? Because if it can't happen there, it can happen any place.
Correct.
When I go by the White Nail across the Mountain Home, all the roofs are full of solar panels. So it cannot be so that government subsidized institutions and big businesses can do it and the small man can't do it. I don't think so. I think GB is a little cautious with saying, we're going to stop this when they themselves can't produce power on a reliant basis because too often you're hearing blackouts here, blackout there, this current gone, this current gone. When current goes, it means that either an engine trip or they don't have enough power and they do load shedding. So if you could get other places using alternative energy, why would you tell them no? You can't supply them anyway.
Now back on the cannabis issue. Where is that exactly? Because it feels like it's been a while we've been talking about it. And it probably got a little delayed because of the whole situation in Parliament. But where is it? I mean, we're falling behind in the Caribbean. Bad.
Mike, when you ask me the question, where is it? I can only tell you God knows. When I was in Parliament, I wrote my letters. I asked that we start with a tolerance policy. Stop locking up people for having a few joints in their pocket or growing a few plants in their yard for personal use. Look, if you go sell the weed and they catch you and lock you up, that's your problem because then you're a distributor. So we had to ask for the first piece. The minister told me, she's working on this, she's got a committee together. We're 4 years for them. We ain't got diddly squat. What we have is that the Minister of VSR, so health, decided to request a request for proposal on how it should be done, which laws should be written.
RFP, yes,
The RFP. That is utter nonsense. Because in Holland it exists. Curacao and Aruba wrote policies for medicinal cannabis already.
Yep.
You can go to St. Kitts, who implemented a law. You can go to Antigua, to Grenada, to St. Vincent, up in Tortola, up in St. Thomas. Even the U.S. have certain regulations. I mean, please, when you hear that, you ask yourself, so what's in it for me? Because something is dead wrong that you would go that direction, create a document that nobody in St. Martin can participate in. Now, I know for a fact that there are organizations on this island with people like Jay Harrison, Irie from real estate, Ras Bushman, all these people that were putting these things together.
Right.
They handed them into government. Why is it that we need a Canadian to come and tell us what to do in our country? We have a judicial affairs department. They can tell you, hire in somebody from the Netherlands that has done it in the Netherlands and write it. We need a bureau to make sure that the quality is correct. Use the one from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we taking their money for all kind of other things? But for this one, we ain't touching it. We want nothing to do. Then you have to ask yourself the question, you're not serious. You want to give this industry to foreigners. The now states unequivocally, cannabis, the cultivation, distribution, and sale of cannabis will be for the local man. You are allowed to become a millionaire too. It don't need to be a Canadian, a Jamaican, a Indian. No. Samaritan are going to become.
It was always there. That's exactly what would have happened.
But
it would have been outsourced or whatever.
They are still planning that. They are still planning that, but they fell backwards. So otherwise, they're going to push that through long time. Because they know they ain't coming back the next term. They're going to sit maybe in parliament, but not in government. And that's their problem.
It's nowhere right now.
Yeah, there's no place. No place. Right. Absolutely no place.
I guess it's going to take you to go back in there to move it.
Oh, definitely.
You are very, you in the beginning of your term, you were very, I want to say supportive, but you gave the government the benefit of the doubt on a lot of things.
Yes.
Because you recognize with COVID, different things happening. Government have to be government sometimes in the big space. But now you seem utterly disappointed, if that's a word, if that to use a kind word, to how they have been, or what they have become, or how they've been governing. Is that fair to say? And why is that?
It is more than fair to say because when the government came in, remember, we had Irma 3 years behind us and NRP was starting to run.
Right.
So while things were going a little slow, I had no issue with it. But when it comes, for example, to waste management, I come from Vromi. I was one of the liaisons between the NRPB and the ministry. So I knew the ins and outs of waste management. So
you recognize crap when you saw it.
You're going to pull no wool over my eyes.
Right.
And that's where me and the minister sometimes started to lock horns when it comes to waste. Because the good gentleman has no clue what he's talking about. And when you have consultants there that don't have the country at heart, but their paycheck at heart, you got to be careful with what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You have a ministry, you have professionals there, you push them aside to bring in others to do things for you with, you don't trust them, or is there? No. It is, if you have an agenda, that's a different story. That's what I started seeing suddenly. And then came COVID.
Right.
So I took a breather and I said, I understand the situation is a little difficult. I'm not going to do difficult.
Right.
But the cannabis, I was getting irritated with it because it was stalling. They were stalling it. I was also working on the testing of drunk drivers. You see, nowadays, the law doesn't tell you that you can test them by blowing. You got to take their blood. And we were just trying to make it use the blowing mechanism.
Efficiency.
Yes.
Make it more efficient.
We went to Aruba, checked the law there, rewrote it, had it prepared here, but I didn't make it in. I didn't get it in time. I know the Minister of Justice said she's going to pick up on it and work it, so I don't know how far that is. The same goes for animal cruelty. That law is finished. I don't want to state the name, but a law firm worked it out completely for us. So it's a matter of now that when I get back in, I'm going to present it and defend it.
Right.
And then it can be implemented. And let me say from now, in the law, we have created the provisions to block dolphinariums in St. Martin and or zoos. Because if you say no dolphinarium, then you can't say let's have a zoo and lock up all the animals, you know.
Yep.
Birds, you know, when they have these big packs, I am more considerate to that, but when it comes to that part of the zoo, I told them no more zoos.
Okay, all right. So government
has disappointed me because it suddenly became an issue of let me see what I could do for my people. And while I have absolutely no issue with anybody getting something in St. Martin that they deserve, irrespective to the political party they belong to, it started to become too blatant. And you would see things happening and you said to yourself, what really going on here? The garbage collection in Point. I mean, the ombudsman wrote an article and said, a report actually, and said there was fraud here. And, you know, a lot of people, it was hushed and sus because the reports were not out.
Correct.
So you couldn't really read everything. Then came the whole parliamentary debate and 8-7, he was saved. Then you start shaking your head. Then came Vineyard Heights. He went to courts. He thought, if I go to courts, I'll block the ombudsman, you know, because she can't continue investigating. Yes.
Right.
And then came a verdict, and he was so happy that he won, not realizing that justice had given him a 6 for a 9. So I warned him publicly. I said, read your verdict. You see, these people, they don't read. They don't comprehend sometimes what's written there, and they go out and they cry victory. Until the notaries them said, but we done with you, bro. Bring your policy, show us that it was vetted, the policy was vetted, show us that there was transparency and good governance, and if you can't do that, we ain't signing at one deed.
Which is why nothing's happened.
Crap or smoking the pipe now.
Yeah.
Because nothing that has domain land can move. This is a clear example of how you got to be careful when justice starts to sit on the seat of government.
Yeah.
That's why I told them in my case, just to show you how it works, that if I gave a contract, that means I was the government.
Yeah.
Because I signed an advice. And then my boss signed the advice, Mr. Brown. He signed as ministry that we agree. Finance agreed to the process, the pricing, and the advice. And then it goes up the ladder to the two ministers, finance and Vromi. And when that is finished, when finance signs it off, it goes to the Council of Ministers for discussion and approval. And when that is finished, they attach the national decree and the copy of the contract with a presentation letter. They send it to the governor, who then reviews the whole thing because they have to vet it from A to Z. And when the governor agrees with it, he will sign the national decree and send it back to the government, which the minister of that ministry or the minister of finance or the prime minister will then enact the national decree by co-signing it. And then the mandate is given to sign the contract. According to the 3 judges, that's what I did. I did all of that. All of that I did.
Okay, Mr. Governor.
So I want more than governor. I think I can go to Holland because my value is extremely high. It is to show you that here justice decided to hell with the government procedures and processes. We are saying this is what it is, which means you're now sitting on the seat of government. And then it means trias politicas is thrown through the window. This is what I want to warn the government for. They seem to believe it's, Buncamper get convicted, so he done. No. If they can do it by me, they can do it by anybody. They can do it with anybody.
It's wordplay, a lot. You see
exactly.
In our justice system and how they try to, you apply certain words to certain, in certain contexts. You see it with former MP Richardson, Francis' case as well. To try to build their own case, but it's not right.
Look,
but how do you address that kind of? How do you fix the system? Is it up to the justice minister? Is it up to the government?
The justice minister can't do the squat. One, because she doesn't have the ability to do that. This is above her level of knowledge. You have to really deal with this where it needs to be dealt with in the Netherlands. So that's why we have also gotten some people from the press in the Netherlands that are going to prepare an article about judges versus justice.
Right.
That article is going to come out. I gave it to the Daily Herald to write. I gave them the information. They told me, unfortunately, can't write it because it's too long. It's too big.
Probably too technical.
And it would, no. The emails of the judges that they sent to us were involved. I gave them the email so they could have verified the source.
So they didn't want to call the names and stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I get it. Speaking of Holland, are you, and I ask every senior political leader that comes in here this question, you're the deputy leader, you might have to deal with these people. What was your reaction to the Wilders victory? Because for me, I wasn't really panicking. I wasn't really worried at all. But what is your reaction?
I have no worries, and I'll tell you why. Wilders is far right, but he will not be able to govern in a far-right position. He's going to have to make a lot of compromises. Right now, his discussions are with Pieter Omtzigt, the VVD, and the Boerenpartij. Now, the Boerenpartij going to close on to him very simple. They're going to just say, okay, we can give you our 8, you got 45, you need 30 more. Pieter Omtzigt coming with 20 or 24, and then VVD coming with about another 20 or something. Basically, VVD said, listen, we are willing to support you, so we will let a minority government go in, but we will support you from that position if it benefits the country. So I think with Pieter Omtzigt there is more light, because what surprised me is that, for example, the PVV, they are very strong in the asylum seekers and immigration. They don't want foreigners in their country. They want them out. VVD was also the one that broke the previous government because of the asylum seekers and all those things. So here they were granted on a silver platter. Hey, join these boys and you can fix that. And it shows you now that the reason they broke the last time wasn't really the asylum seekers. That, you have to be able to read the politics a little bit. Will I work with the Dutch? Why not? As long as we are in the kingdom, we have to learn to work together. Look, we don't have to agree with everything, but just let's make sure that whatever we're doing it in the interest of the country. And we have to learn to be able to say no sometimes. Not just take it because they're giving it. Because whatever I give you, I might be looking for something in return. I mightn't tell it to you directly, but indirectly I come and do. And that's where you got to be careful. You just got to be a little careful with that.
With local politics, there's a lot of talk also about people who don't want to negotiate with other parties, and people, and making declarations from now, etc., etc. The Now Party, MP Manuel, your leader, has been critical of government. You've been critical of government. I mean, as you should be as MPs in Parliament. I'm assuming you are not going to go on record and say you're not going to work with some another party if it comes to that after the election.
Look, you got to be honest. In politics, you run to govern. And while you can govern if you're good enough, like me, from the opposition benches, because you put them on their toes and they go and back check everything I say to make sure that I can't catch them pants down, you are governing.
Which is the correct thing for them to do.
You understand?
Right.
But to go and say, before the elections are called, I ain't working with this one or this one, then there must be such an ideology difference. And according to me, everybody in Samaritan, maybe with the exception of the Now and the ECE, I believe the gentleman's name is, we are a little more to the right where, hey, we out here for St. Martiners. We're not out here for the general population. We're out here trying to make sure that those that have made St. Martin their home, those that are belongers, those that are born to belong here, that group, that they get a crack at being wealthy. So your basis, your non-negotiables, I would say, you're going to have to put those down, and we put them down in our manifesto. In the back, we are telling you what we are not going to compromise on.
Yes, we did the same.
Yes.
I like to see that.
No, but you have to, because from now already, people can say, hey, these fellas can work together, these groups can work together, so maybe these are the groups we have to look at. You see, I think it was more an emotional statement than a statement that's going to hold water right now. I listen. I'll give you how naive I was when I was just elected. I was the highest vote getter, and now so we were going to negotiate, and I was in the Jeep with Christopher, myself, France, and William Allen. And they said, Buncamper, we can't work with Mr. Arundel because his brother had Mr. Brownbill mash up the government twice, and William said he ain't taking that. And, okay. Yeah. So that's where the USP thing was coming stagnant.
Right.
So when I saw the two boys join, I called William. He was in Panama. He said, Tone, my friend, in politics, never say never. I said, okay. You told me never. He said, well, now you learned the lesson. Never say never. So it's to show you that I think the candidate that said it maybe because she was upset of what was going on and what she went through. Because the leader of the UP, he played that one right away, and he said, now as the leader of the DP, have to deal with what I was dealing with. That's politics. That's politics. That's,
So called a professional spin.
Yes. and all I'm saying is, I wish everybody well this election. It's going to be a hard election. I hope it doesn't get too nasty and too personal. But that depends on how candidates them take in what is said about them. People believe they're going to throw me off my game by telling the voters Buncamper can't take a seat. And I'm just going to do what I do best. I can convince people. People listen to me. People respect me when I talk. Why? Because I don't lie when I talk. I don't need to fool you, give you a lollipop. I ain't paying nobody to vote for me. Not me. I told them that. You notice I don't have no posters out there? Because that money, I want to make charitable donations to food kitchens and those things. Feed the people. They are hungry. People, all these meet and greets. It's a lot of money. You could have bought stuff, give it to families so that for Christmas, they have something on their table. And I hope they listen to the message so they maybe open the war chest, take out some more money, and go buy a few hundred packages and bring them to people in need in every neighborhood. And Samantha, we got them in every neighborhood.
So now won't be doing any public meetings or anything like that?
Yes, we are planning public. We are planning some public meetings, but we don't believe in jeopardizing it during the season. I think we have to give respect to the season. We are in the Christmas season already. I want to respect that. But we are planning. But naturally, with public meetings, you have to get permission from landowners. So we are still busy with that right now.
And they're costly. On top of that.
Well, we are not going to have the shebang, that big speakers and screens. No. You're coming to listen to a message. You're not coming to a damn show. People believe those are shows. That's people are coming for a message of hope, a message that not sounds real, but can be real. That's what they need, and that's what it now is all about. We're not here about grandstanding. We are here about offering you a possible opportunity to become wealthy in your own country. That's what we want to do for you. No more, no less.
We have we have some of your candidates scheduled coming up on interviews for the rest of the month until elections. How has it been? There are a lot of new candidates, new faces. When you look at the list, yourself and MP Manuel's is almost only two recognizable ones, and then you see you in between. It's like you kind of wonder what are Tony telling these new candidates for real. I mean, on the trail,
No, it's not only on the trail.
Sometimes you look at them scared, just like, oh my God. So are you guided? And like, what
I did.
What advice are you giving them?
Our list went from 11 to 21 very fast in the last weekend. So, but before that, remember we wrote our manifesto.
For a long time now.
A while back. So what I did is I started training them. We were having sessions. The manifesto, they versus me. The newspaper, pull out the articles, let's debate them. How does it tie into your manifesto? Just for them to get a feel of what's going to be happening when you meet a talk show host. Because if you meet a sharp one, they will guide you down the path of destruction. And when you don't know, they put a dagger on you.
Gotcha.
So you got, exactly. Exactly. Okay, you said this, but the manifesto said that.
Yeah.
That's why I told all of them, read the manifesto. And I have been listening to them, and I can clearly hear in them that they are reading the manifesto. And we have discussions. Like tonight we have a candidate meeting.
Be sure you watch these interviews.
Yes, and what we do at the candidate meetings, I tell them, tell me where you feel that you're not 100%. Like, for example, there was a question today to a candidate. How do you believe as a parliamentarian that you can get done what you want done?
Right.
And then they talk about the policies. No, let's start where it starts, in the governing program. The governing program is going to reflect your manifesto, and your manifesto reflects how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So, as a parliamentarian, you do two things. You can either initiate a law, and you hold the government accountable. And you shouldn't be afraid to fire those that need firing. Because if they are not going to carry out the governing program, then we have a problem with those sitting in there. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no thanks. Because the governing program is what will make this country flourish. Not nice talk and giving out licenses for bus and taxi when election reach. No, that's not going to fix this country. That's going to destroy the economy of this. You see, these are the things we have to be honest with and show the public. Look, it has always been a habit. Election time, that is the chicken leg and Johnny cake season, and the block cement, raft, wood, fridge stove. We must have passed that by now, because if we still are hoping for that, then you will get what Sugar Aloe said, the government you deserve. Because you will not get the best government of the country. You'll get those that are buying their way through the elections.
And once they enter, you get what you need to shut up.
Listen, I think it was on Andrew Dick's show, I told a fella, if you get $300 for your vote, it means you're not even worth a quarter a day. That's what it means.
Yep.
Because it's a 4-year deal.
Yep.
So people have to understand that if people offer you money, take the damn money. Take it because you can use it to eat. But don't vote for them. Don't give them that satisfaction. And now with the curtains gone, I don't think the phones are gone though. I don't think the law had passed, so I doubt they can do that. People can go in and they can take a stamp fleece, which means they can take a picture of their vote.
Well, it's going to be harder for them to do because people will be watching them.
Makes no difference. It's not illegal.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
It's not illegal.
True.
So I don't, the police will, oh, you can't do that. Well, officer,
it's on phone already.
No, but not that. Officer, you can't tell me that you don't have that right to tell it to me because the law doesn't say I'm not allowed to do it. You see, this is what's going to happen this election. Because they're going to educate those that have to go in and do their thing. They're going to educate them.
Of course.
But all I'm saying is from now, we need to get a government that has this country at heart. And if we don't get a government that has St. Martin at heart, but friends and family are foreigners, you got a problem. And nothing against no foreigners, nothing against nobody. But Jesus, we have reached the time where St. Martin needs to do things for St. Martin people. And if we can't do that, we got a problem. And don't misunderstand me when I say St. Martin people. I didn't say St. Martin born people. I'm saying St. Martin people are people that have made St. Martin their home. Not for 5 years, but home. That's the big difference.
Folks, MP Buncamper will be with us every Friday, God's willing. Every Friday until the election, he will be here. That's his day. Smart enough to lock in a day. That is his day. So we're going to get into a whole lot of other things. We're going to get into, I want to get into nation building. I want to get into the deficit between in the kingdom.
The democratic deficit.
The democratic deficit. I want to get into different things with the MP. That's I know he expounded on in his very popular weekly podcast, but right here just for you guys to break it on and you guys to understand. So MP, any final words until next Friday?
Enjoy the weekend.
Yes.
Be safe. Like I said, don't drink and drive.
The Lions is tomorrow.
Tomorrow night is the bingo. It's the Lions bingo. It starts at 8 o'clock. But get in there in time. Remember, if you bought your tickets now, beforehand, those are the ones that guarantee you a seat.
Yes.
They will, once the 900 tickets are sold, there will be no more tickets sold to get inside.
Right.
But inside, there are more tickets, more bingo cards that can be purchased at $15 a card. So it's going to be a great bingo. I really imploring everybody who have come out, have some fun with your family, win an overloaded basket, win some nice stays at beautiful hotels, La Samana and all them. Yeah.
What?
You got
A trip to Paris?
two tickets to Paris,
Yes, sir.
$1,000 cash Santa bag, and we sharing the bag. So that means one person going home with $1,000 that night.
Yes, sir.
I am offering services to drive you home.
But then you may convince me.
No.
That's at Ali's.
That's
tomorrow.
Ali's, yes.
That's the Lions annual Christmas bingo.
Yeah, the Lion Wally Haverton annual Christmas
Lion
bingo.
Wally Hampton.
Yeah.
Daddy. Okay, well, MP next Friday, we'll be here.
Next Friday, I'll be back and we're going to discuss
other things.
a lot of other things that we need discussing.
Yes. Folks, keep it locked to 88.3 FM. I'm with you till 3 o'clock when King James checks in. We'll be right back.